Welcome to Building Something Admirable, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes of how to start a healthcare-related business. I'll share each step that we took to establish our now thriving practice at Meyer Medical, including our highs and lows, insider advice, and real-life lessons in every episode. Good evening, budding medical entrepreneurs. This is the Building Something Admirable podcast. My name is Alex. I'm driving back from getting pizza to a very hungry family. I think today we should also talk about more deep considerations when planning your niche business. Okay? I had 2 points that came up today when I was thinking about my week and it being Friday, and important thoughts at the end of a long week. So let's dive in as you're already driving. Basically, you're going to be extremely busy, and when you're extremely busy, it is quite easy to lose track of your cool. Now, you're going to be busy because you're going to have your main back door open, foundational, keep the lights on business while you get your main side hustle, that's the thing, up and running. And for this reason, you're basically going to be working 2 jobs. Because any minute you're not doing the thing that keeps the lights on, you're going to be either actively working on your side business, or working in it actually, or doing all the behind the scenes stuff. So you'll either be working in it or on it. Because of this, you want to picture yourself in the most burned out state possible. Think of how you get when you have a short fuse and then someone then throws 10 more demands at you and gives you a timeline that is completely unachievable. Now, in that state, what kind of medicine do you still want to deal with? That's basically it. So for me, even when I'm at my worst in terms of stress level and stress management left in the tank, so even when my fuse is short and frayed and every other possible way of mangling this metaphor, I still love talking about fitness, nutrition, and weight loss, surgery preparation, that kind of stuff. So that means that it was a great choice of business for me to work on a prehab weight loss type business, because it means that when I have nothing left in the tank, I am running on below empty, I still have my reserves to tap on here, because I can still talk about proper squat form, proper macro counting, and do it with a smile. Now, you also kind of draw some of the energy from your practice, staff, and your patients. So, if you've built a good team, and if your current burned out state is mostly from the volume in your main gig, they should still be relatively chill when you get to your side hustle, main hustle. I would say when you get to your admire, since that's mine. When you get to your admire and you walk in the door, ideally everyone there is going to be, whistling while they work, and you can draw a little bit of that energy to lift yourself up a smidge when your warning light is flashing. So that's one thing that I didn't consciously think about, but more or less had that conversation of times where, actually this happened last week. So last Friday, was it 2 Fridays ago, I was completely out of gas, and had my 3rd patient of the day in the office after 20 some patients And the last patient was a telehealth visit, and those can go either direction. Typically they go actually pretty well because the patients are, they're in their home, and so it seems to be more straight to the point typically, at least in Admire. And there's a back pain consult, which again can go many different directions. It could be somebody who, has had chronic back pain for 15 years, has received all the recommendations in the world but hasn't pursued anything, is coming to you for a magic fix that no one else has thought of, and deep down they secretly want you to prescribe Oxy. Or, in this case, mine was a 20-something-year-old who had been active in the gym, and I forget now how she kicked off her current back pain, but a couple years ago did something wrong. I don't think it was in the gym, but since then has flared up in the gym and came to me saying how badly she wanted to keep doing resistance training, but was really afraid she was actively causing damage. So I got to spend almost an hour talking about major compound resistance training movements in the gym with somebody who was extremely interested in it and got in the nitty-gritty of form and all that stuff. So by the end of that hour, I was ready to have a whole nother day. So that's what you want to do. You want to pick a niche that can serve as your essence, as your life force, as your ether from Thor Dark World. The thing that's going to charge you back up. And I think I actually butchered that reference because it was a negative thing in that movie. Okay. So the second thing is, and this is good news, don't overcomplicate it. Alex Hormozy always talks about, if you are looking for a business idea, just look around, see what other people are doing, just do it a little faster, or do it with one less annoying thing. I'm basically just thinking of it this way, like if you're, in the case of healthcare, like my own metaphor, analogy, or parable here, what we're doing that is just doing the same thing but better is we get people in quickly and we listen to them speak and kind of toot our own horn here, but we've had a couple patients leave in literal tears because for the first time someone just let them talk. Crazy, right? But in some communities the bar is so low that all you have to do is listen for a little bit, validate their feelings, acknowledge that their symptoms are real symptoms and not all in their head. You make a friend that day, and you make a champion for your business, for your practice. In this case, it was a young woman who's had heavy periods for I think most of her adult life, and will have her period 23 days out of the month. Heavy. And it's painful. And apparently since it began, her PCP or whomever she was seeing before this can try to convince her that's perfectly normal. Yeah, don't worry about it. Are you kidding me? So that's all it really takes sometimes, is to be the voice of sanity in some cases. Now it doesn't pay the bills. So it's really about creating that strong patient base who are diehard advocates for your business, and then finding a way to monetize that without exploiting them. It is but it's a bit cold and unnerving referring to your patients as customers, but at the same time it lets you focus on the experience. So when I'm going to inevitably refer to patients as customers a couple times coming up, It's because I'm used to focusing on their experience and delivering the care that makes them feel like the transaction's complete. So when you leave something open-ended, or rely on healthcare is complicated, let's come back and continue this 3 weeks from now before they actually reach a satisfactory conclusion, you can't be surprised when you have unhappy customers. That would not be acceptable in auto repair. Yet some of them do it too. I really want to be focusing on just doing something that is already successful and just do it better. That's way more likely to succeed than trying to establish a whole new hyper-focused niche where you have to build the market. You can absolutely do that, but maybe not in your first swing. In the beginning, as you're figuring out how to really do private practice well, and again, this is something that I'm learning on the fly because I came out of the gate pushing prehab, and it took a while to really be successful on a prehab-based model, and really that's just because of a couple of right place, right time. So you got to make your own luck in this thing, and part of that is going to be the networking aspects, building a loyal customer base of diehards for your brand, and just being kind of open to fortuitous occurrences here that just happen to be the thing that makes or breaks you. Those are the 2 big points for today, because when you're trying to find your niche, it took me a very long time and a whole lot of notebook pages to figure out what Admire is going to be and how it's going to do it well. And in that process, I went through prehab, I went through medical weight loss, I went through a concierge PCP program, I went through basically just different iterations of longevity program, a neurodegenerative disease prevention / rehab group, basically focusing on the last one was seeing how some of the most feared and devastating illnesses are actually not always cancer related, because people regard cancer as potentially treatable. It's Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and things that everyone knows the outcome. It's an earlier death. So I thought that might be a good segment to focus on. But then you got to define that whole thing. You got to explain why, as a rehab doctor, for me, I'm better suited than a neurologist or something for those things. And get people to understand what we do. Prehab's been difficult enough, and I just basically tell you it's surgery prep. Now, weight loss, man, the minute we began promoting that predominantly and hormone replacement, we don't have enough time of the day. And so what we're doing now is focusing on those things as a means of achieving the optimal surgery preparation. So that's how we're kind of communicating it now is, work with us on your weight loss before your surgery. Work with us for hormone replacement so that you can lose weight, so you can get ready for surgery. Or if folks are already in the door, then we can kind of get to the brass tacks and see what is already in the patient's mind, and if they really are preparing for something or are recovering from something, which is kind of the back end of what we do a lot of now too. But these are exactly the main things that I haven't consciously thought about. What can I still be doing when I haven't seen my kid in 2 weeks, and despite working 24/7, we're still operating reimbursement to reimbursement. It's the business equivalent of paycheck to paycheck. watching people get better from strokes and spinal cord injuries and the miracle of recovery in some cases, and talking about gym sessions and maximizing protein intake. That's what it is. That's what I can do all day. And of course, after a while, patients see that passion that you have, and it's just a magnet. You know, people not only want to not leave your office and just want to talk about this stuff, but they also, that's what will spread in conversation. That old adage of no one cares how much you know until they know how much you care, obviously that applies more than anywhere else in medicine, especially in sensitive subjects like folks with weight struggles, or someone who's terrified because they either have a surgery coming up or a new cancer diagnosis. So that's what keeps me going. And these are just two important things to focus on when picking your niche, because having to pivot later is a lot harder than picking it right the first time. All right, I'm going to cut this short before actually pulling my driveway, because I'm already late bringing this pizza home, so I might have some cranky family members. Anyway, thank you for listening as always. I hope this is helpful. If there's anything you could think of that would have made this a better conversation for you, please let me know below. I review these comments and use it to help guide future episodes, because what's the point if I'm not hitting the stuff that you want to listen to and learn about? Either way, best of luck. Thanks for watching. Please share if you found this helpful, like, and subscribe. Have a good weekend. Stay tuned for more insider advice on building something admirable. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe below.